morning and a very warm welcome. You are watching Janata Television and this is the English Bulletin with me, Sushant Akal. The top stories first. Constitutional bodies yet to get full shape in almost 3 years. Government fails to appoint commissioners even after completing half of its term. Airline companies against government decision to operate at 50% capacity demand compensation from government instead of price hike. World Bank says pandemic threatens gains of past decade, poor countries more vulnerable to the crisis. Singapore has world's lowest COVID-19 death rate. Mandatory use of mask is considered one of the reasons. And Tottenham Hotspurs come back to win in Bulgaria. AC Milan also through to the next round of the Europa League. And now the news in detail. The KP Sharma Oli-led Nepali Communist Party has taken the charge of the government with a clear two-thirds majority, but with half of the tenure of the government already completed, many constitutional bodies are yet to get full shape. The inability to fulfill the positions of the constitutional commissions cannot be completely blamed on the ruling NCP, as the opposition has also taken no interest to pressure the ruling party on the issue. A meeting called for Thursday was set to discuss the same issue but had to be postponed because of the absence of Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Deuba. Deuba had to remain in home isolation after a member of his personal secretariat tested positive for the coronavirus. There are 40 positions yet to be fulfilled in the constitutional bodies. Analysts say disagreement between the ruling and the opposition parties regarding the quota of the members has caused these constitutional bodies to remain incomplete. The Indigenous Nationalities Commission, National Women's Commission and Dalit Commission have 5 empty positions. Similarly, the Language Commission has 6 vacant positions, while the Muslim Commission, Tharu Commission, Madhesi Commission, Inclusive Commission and Fiscal Commission have 4 empty positions each. At present, even the Commission for Investigation of Abuse of Authority, CIAA, is without a chief, while 3 other positions within the organization are also vacant. The Election Commission is also without 2 important positions as they continue to remain vacant. Meanwhile, the Parliamentary Committee has brought the attention of the government to the issue of unfulfilled positions in these constitutional bodies. The Law, Justice and Human Rights Committee of the Parliament has urged the government to immediately fulfill the vacant positions of these constitutional bodies. Chairman of the Parliamentary Committee, Krishna Bhakta Pokhrel, said the constitutional bodies will help in the protection and promotion of human rights and therefore they should not be left vacant.
मानवाधिकार संरक्षण र सम्वर्धनमा टेवा पुर्याउने संरचनाको रूपमा संविधानमा नै प्रबन्ध भएको महिला आयोग, दलित आयोग, थारू आयोग, समावेशी आयोग लगायतका जति हामीसँग आयोगहरू छ त्यहाँ हामी उल्लेख गर्छौं। यथाशीघ्र छिटो गठन गर्न सरकारको चाहिँ गम्भीर ध्यानाकर्षण गराउने।
The committee also decided to form a 5-member subcommittee to investigate the issue of deaths occurring in police custody. The committee held a discussion on the worldwide review report of human rights situation and is set to submit its own report to the Prime Minister's office by Sunday. Newly appointed member of the National Assembly, Bamdev Gautam, has taken oath of office and secrecy for his post. Gautam, the vice chairman of the ruling Nepal Communist Party, was appointed as upper house member by the president upon the recommendation of the Council of Ministers yesterday. National Assembly Chairman Ganesh Prasad Timalsina administered oath of office and secrecy to Gautam amid a formal program yesterday. After taking oath, Gautam said he does not have any other ambition than to enhance the reputation and honor of the National Assembly through his works. A cabinet meeting last Monday had recommended Gautam's name for the post of upper house member that was lying vacant since the last 6 months. Gautam was defeated in the last election held about 3 years ago. This is Janata Bulletin. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back. After the break, we continue with other national news. Coronavirus has claimed 4 more lives in the country, taking the death toll to 383. According to the Ministry of Health and Population, 3 women and 1 man have become the latest victim of the disease that has infected almost 60,000 people in Nepal. Spokesperson at the ministry, Dr. Jageshwar Gautam, yesterday confirmed 1,246 new cases of coronavirus during the latest round of tests. The government had conducted 10,641 PCR tests recently, out of which 428 women and 818 men tested positive, informed Gautam. According to Gautam, the total number of coronavirus cases in the country has reached 59,573. Meanwhile, the number of active cases in Nepal stands at 16,241. Among them, 7,903 are kept in isolation wards of various health facilities, while the remaining 8,338 are in home isolation. Among the patients, 183 are receiving life support in ventilators. The Health Ministry informed that 1,243 persons were discharged from hospitals yesterday. As of today, 49,949 persons have recovered from the disease. Airline operators of Nepal have termed the decision of the government to resume domestic flights with 50% passengers as impractical decision. The Airline Operators Association of Nepal is against the government's decision to carry 50% passengers and increase the fare by 50%. President of AOAN, Captain Rameshwar Thapa, said that the private airline companies would resume flights only if the government allowed them to operate in full capacity and the normal airfare fixed previously. Thapa clarified that it would be inappropriate to charge high fare to the passengers during such time of crisis. He said that if they have no option than to operate flights with 50% passenger capacity, then the government must provide them compensation, but the public must not be focused to pay high price.
टिकटको फेयर बढाउँ भन्ने कुराहरू पनि इन्फर्मली आइरहेको छ। हामी व्यवसायीहरूको हिसाबले हामी के भन्छौँ भने यो अवस्था फेयर बढाएर जाने अवस्था पनि होइन, किनभने आफैमा आर्थिक अवस्था गुज्रिएको अवस्था छ।
Thapa further said that the airline companies can recover their cost if they carry 60% passengers, while they generate some profit if the capacity is increased to 75%. In this context, he urged the government to let them operate in full capacity. And now the news from the economic front. The COVID-19 pandemic threatens hard-won gains in the health and education sector over the past decade, especially in the poorest countries, says a new report prepared by the World Bank Group. The World Bank Group's 2020 Human Capital Index shows that most countries that made steady progress in building human capital of children, but the progress made before the pandemic is now at risk, says a statement issued by the World Bank. World Bank's country director for the Maldives, Nepal and Sri Lanka, Fariz Haddad Zervos, says investment in human capital is just as important as investment in infrastructure, if not more. It brings returns in the form of a healthier and more productive workforce in the long run, he said. Due to the pandemic's impact, more than 1 billion children have been out of school and could lose on average half a year of schooling. It would translate into considerable monetary losses in the future, according to the World Bank. The economic impact of the pandemic has been particularly deep for women and for the most disadvantaged families, leaving many vulnerable to food insecurity and poverty. The 2020 Human Capital Index includes health and education data up to March 2020 for 174 countries, covering 98% of the world's population. Time for a short break here at Janata Bulletin. Stay tuned for international news. Welcome back, and now the international news. Singapore has the lowest coronavirus case fatality count globally, Reuters reported. According to the news agency, the Southeast Asian country has just 27 deaths among more than 57,000 people who have been infected with COVID-19. At 0.05%, Singapore's death rate is well below the global average of around 3%, according to the data compiled by Reuters. Further, nobody has died from the disease in Singapore for more than 2 months, according to its health ministry. The country's leading disease experts point out to a certain factor behind the phenomenon. About 95% of Singapore's COVID-19 infections are among migrant workers, mostly in their 20s or 30s, living in cramped condition. Singapore has managed to mitigate the spread of the virus via early detection using aggressive contact tracing and testing that won praise from the WHO. It has tested more than 15% of its 5.7 million population, according to the official data, which is one of the highest per capita rates globally. Anyone over 13 with signs of acute respiratory infection is offered a free test. The preemptive approach has also applied to treatment. The city-state made masks mandatory in public in April. Experts say there is growing evidence that wearing masks helps reduce the prevalence and severity of the virus. Singapore sticks rigidly to the WHO's case definition for classifying COVID-19 deaths. It does not include non-pneumonia fatalities like those caused by blood or heart issues among COVID-19 patients in its official tally. The World Health Organization said that more than 170 countries had joined its global plan to distribute vaccines fairly around the world. However, the WHO cautioned that a race to develop shots could lead to public fears about safety. According to Reuters, trials of vaccine in Britain were paused earlier this month following an illness in a participant. Meanwhile, Russia has dismissed criticisms from the Western experts warning against early use of its vaccine candidate. WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said they already face challenges with vaccine acceptance for many proven vaccines. We cannot risk having an effective vaccine for COVID-19 that people refuse because of its perception that it is unsafe, he said. WHO previously said 92 lower-income nations were seeking assistance via its COVAX vaccine scheme, and some 80 higher-income nations had expressed interest. The WHO and the Gavi Vaccine Alliance are leading the COVAX scheme, which aims to procure and deliver 2 billion doses of approved vaccines by the end of 2021. But some countries that have secured their own supplies through bilateral deals, including the United States, have said they will not join COVAX. You're watching Janata Bulletin, and now the latest from the world of sports. English side Tottenham Hotspurs survived a scare to reach the third qualifying round, but was forced to come from behind in Bulgaria. Tottenham boss Jose Mourinho was all praises for his team players, especially Ndombele, who scored the decisive goal of the match. Earlier, Bulgarian side Lokomotiv Plovdiv took the lead in the 71st minute through a Minchev goal, but a penalty incident in the 80th minute saw two Bulgarian players red-carded while Harry Kane scored the penalty kick to level the tie. The comeback was completed by Ndombele in the 85th minute. In another match, Zlatan Ibrahimovic inspired AC Milan beat Irish side Shamrock Rovers as they too qualified into the third round of the Europa League. The Italian side won the match by 2-0 with the season starting later than usual due to the coronavirus pandemic. All qualifying ties in the European competition have been reduced to a one-legged match. English champions Liverpool have completed the signing of Spanish midfielder Thiago Alcantara from German club Bayern Munich. Thiago, 29, joined the German Giants from Barcelona in 2013 and played in the last season's Champions League final victory over Paris Saint-Germain. He is set to wear the number 6 shirt at Anfield. The English side appear to have settled the deal for £20 million paid in installments over the time of the player's contract, while a £5 million add-on clause means the German club can get a further £5 million in bank if Liverpool win the Premier League or the Champions League this season. Thiago will be Liverpool's second summer signing after Greek left-back Kostas Tsimikas. In another transfer news, Real Madrid forward Gareth Bale is set to fly to England on Friday to complete his return to Tottenham Hotspurs. A deal for Wales international Bale, 31, to rejoin Spurs on loan from Real Madrid is still being negotiated. We are at the end of Janata Bulletin and the headlines once again. Constitutional body is yet to get full shape in almost 3 years. Government fails to appoint commissioners even after completing half of its term. Airline companies against government's decision to operate at 50% capacity demand compensation from government instead of price hike. World Bank says pandemic threatens gains of the past decade, poor countries more vulnerable to the crisis. Singapore has world's lowest COVID-19 death rate. Mandatory use of mask is considered one of the reasons. And Tottenham Hotspurs come back to win in Bulgaria. AC Milan also through to the next round of the Europa League. And that's all from the English News Desk for today. You can follow Janata Television and our programs on various social media platforms, including on our website janatasamachar.com. Keep watching Janata Television. Namaste.